What's up, my freelancers and creatives? This is Nathan, and welcome to another episode of Traffic Talk. Traffic Talk is the segment where you ask questions and I give you answers, all while driving on my daily commute. So as you saw from the episode title, we're going to talk about doing backups and file storage for clients. But really, just before we dive into that, I just want to, again, give you some context on the question, as well as a little bit more detail so you can understand where this person is coming from. So this is a question from Reddit, and the primary question is pretty much client using me as a file backup system of sorts. And just for some context, so I've done work with this one client over a half dozen years. I email them copies of every file, and he constantly shows up requesting this or that file I've done a year ago or so, again, sometimes more, at which point I have to go dig it up and send it back to him. This is getting a bit tiring, and he gets aggressive with me sometimes, as well as not having them all constantly available on my Dropbox folder. I've discussed with him previously that I've cannot keep every single file there, as there's quite a bit, and I remove files after a certain date to keep my space available for my other clients. How do I gently word to him that he needs to stop asking me for this or pay me for file retrievals? I'm getting tired of this, and honestly, I've already probably spent a couple of hours in the past month finding various files for him. So that's context on the actual question, and there's a lot going on here. But really quick, I see three things. One, client communication and needing to set expectations going forward in the future. Number two, having the files stored is actually valuable to this client. And as you have just pointed out with the different interactions, they will need them in the future. So it is valuable to them. So there's value there. That's the second thing. The third thing I see is, it was mentioned that how can you communicate or talk with your client about getting paid for it, right? So there's that as well. So looking at all this, I can definitely say I've been through the exact same thing. People love using me as a backup. People love using me by saying, hey, Nathan, can you send me this? Can you give me this file? When I know for a fact they have the very same email I sent. Sometimes I literally look up the email I sent to them in the past, and that's how I find the file. Like, I've already sent it to you. So all I did was search for it. You could have done the same thing as a client. However, as you've outlined, the client's behavior is not changing, and they are relying on you for file storage. So a couple of things need to happen. One, I have to ask this question. Did you discuss file storage in your contract? For example, in my contract, it states that I will hold on to files for the course of the development of the project, but it's not my job to store the files. So in my contract, I do protect myself and say, I don't hold on to these for you. At any given time after the project, they may not exist anymore, but I have that written down, and it's something they signed and agreed to. So the first thing I would mention is definitely check to see if that is in your contract, and if it is not, you want to add that in there to protect yourself in the future. The second thing is there is a need for them to pay you because there is value here. So honestly, this doesn't have to be very detailed. It doesn't have to be anything that is long or tumultuous, but really send them a professional email letting them know what is going to happen going forward. You've mentioned that you have a Dropbox folder, but you need more space for your other clients, and they've mentioned they wish they had, availability to your entire Dropbox. So let them know you would like to set up a Dropbox folder on their behalf, and there will be a fee to set up that Dropbox folder on their behalf, and they will have to pay Dropbox directly going forward, right? Now, there's different ways you can do that. that's your client paying Dropbox directly, or maybe you're the one who sets everything up and then the client is paying you. However, the client would need to pay you on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, however you want to bill them, and then you'll grant them access to all those files in an organized fashion so that they can find what they need. And somebody may be watching and thinking, is that big of a deal? Can't you just do good customer service? The issue here is not good customer service. The issue here is time. And the freelancer, their time is being taken up to find various files when really they've already done more than enough for the client. So the issue here is needing to be rewarded for time spent. And if the freelancer does anything that saves time, or the freelancer's time is utilized, they need to get paid for that value they're providing. In this case, finding the right file or knowing where to find the right file for the client. But regardless of any of those things, like I just mentioned, an email, and you're either going to set up a Dropbox for the client, they pay you for that, and then the client pays Dropbox going forward, or you're setting everything up and the client pays you directly. However, that's going to be on a monthly or yearly basis, whatever you decide. As a quick caveat, more than likely, of course, whatever you get paid should probably be greater than the cost of the Dropbox account, right? Because you actually want to make a profit for your time. So I believe a couple of things are going to happen. The client is actually going to say thank you, and you're going to set things up for them going forward, and you're going to work as a professional, and they're going to appreciate it. Or number two, they're going to say they don't believe that they should be charged for, file storage and this and that and the other, and it should be complimentary. They may take that route. If they take that route, remain professional, because again, you can let them know even the next time they email you. I would be glad and happy to fulfill this request. However, this is the path forward. You must pay, or I just can't help you. Now, I don't know your relationship with the client or anything of that nature, but I will admit, whenever a price is attached, they'll come up with a way to pay you. If they really need it, they'll come up with a way to pay you. And if not, you may need to send that final email. The final email that states, this is the last time I am going to do this because some things have changed in my business, and going forward, this is how things are. If you do not want to proceed with that, that's okay. However, please save this in a space, because I will no longer have them. And after I send you this email, I am deleting it. And, give them some time to react, but they need to come along with it because, like you already outlined, the client is using you as file storage, and it's time consuming, and you need to be rewarded for that time. And the last thing I'll say about this is there actually is a perfect solution in software that really help you out in this instance. There is a designer named Laura. I believe she goes by Laura Elizabeth, and she has a website. She created a website called client-portal.io. Client-portal.io. And the whole purpose of her creating this site was some of what you're mentioning, because when it comes to client files and what was said, some things can get lost in translation and clients forget. So she has created a system that you can either pay her and I believe host, or you set up through Dropbox, you set up that a certain way. And basically it creates a client portal on your website, and the client can log in with their password and have access to everything. And you can point them to maybe it was meeting notes from one of your first meetings. Maybe it's a summary of the contract. Maybe it is a copy of the proposal. Maybe it's any background research that you've done for the project. And also there is an index of files. So the reason why that is important is there also is solving the issue of organization for you, because you said it takes sometimes an hour to find the file. That would mean things aren't properly organized or optimal for searchability. So I definitely would recommend Client Portal by Laura Elizabeth, client-portal.io, I believe. I did double check that, and in fact, it is client-portal.io. No, they didn't sponsor this episode. No, I'm not getting anything for it. And for those watching, I'll put a link in the description below just so you know where to find it. And you can see the logic behind why Laura did what she did. But that can be definitely helpful to you. And more than likely, if this one client is having this problem, some of your other clients may be faced with the same problem. So this is an opportunity for you to solve the problem and create something going forward that can be helpful to all of your clients. So thank you for taking the time to check out this episode. I greatly appreciate it. Still driving, not to my destination yet, but got a little ways to go and a little bit of traffic to battle, but I will get there. And yeah, I definitely appreciate the question today because I can relate. The same thing happens to me, and I need to take a firm stance as well. Sometimes it is a courtesy. Sometimes it is very quick. You know, I know exactly where it is. It's going to take less than 5 minutes. That's a courtesy. But when things start taking an hour and sucking up a lot of time, that's where you really have to think, okay, I need to be rewarded for the value I'm providing because my time is being taken and I could serve somebody else. And that's pretty much where we ended up today, recognizing with this issue. If you have a question you want to ask or see on Traffic Talk, feel free to reach out to me. You can go to nathanallotey.com/traffic talk, and you can get to the page where we have this episode set up. Or, go to nathanallotey.com, click on podcast. You will see Traffic Talk. Go to that page and submit a question that way, or however you want to get it to me. Today's question was on Reddit, but you can ask me on Twitter, or you can even ask me on YouTube by leaving a comment below, and I don't mind answering that as well. However you want to get the question to me, I can get it, and you can see it on the show. Well, as I mentioned, thank you for watching this episode, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.